everybody, it's Blue Fire Witch, and that's Brea. And I wanted to talk to you about an article that I found today on a website called the Patriot Post. It's patriotpost.us. I will give you a link in the sidebar. It's the tagline of the website. I want you to keep this in mind. Is the voice of constitutional conservatism. I can't even fucking say it. The thing that I found funny and interesting was this article, which is far from constitutional correctness. The name of the article is Comeback Time for Christians, and it's written by a guy named William Murchison. And I'm not going to read the whole article to you because it's long, but, I'll post a link for you so that you can see it. And I just wanted to read some excerpts from the article where he's talking about it's time for the Christians to, quote-unquote, take back America from this growing amount of religions that, he seems to think are invaders. The first thing he does that bothers me is that he lumps atheists together with Wiccans and pagans, and I don't really think that we consider ourselves part of the same community. Probably part of a community of people who are discriminated against by Christians, but that's where the similarities basically end. For the most part, pagans and Wiccans believe in gods. Some are agnostic, some may be atheists, but I would say a good 90-95% of our community believes in some sort of god or gods. As for atheists, their central philosophy is they don't believe in God. So the two communities aren't exactly together on that issue. And so to lump them all together doesn't seem right to me, and I don't think it would seem right to most atheists either. Well, I'm just going to read this quote, okay? The growing colony of secularists and neo-pagans hopeful of liberating America from God. I have never been hopeful to liberate anyone from their chosen faith. I find that to be highly offensive that he would suggest that neo-pagans are on street corners telling people what to believe when it's the Christians that do that. And then later on in the article, he calls Wicca a religion where if it feels good, sounds good, looks good, well, do it and bless you. No, not really. So here's the comment that I left, and I encourage you, if you feel like you have something to add, that you add it. The comments are moderated, but I'm still hopeful that some of them will get through. So here's my comment that I left. I have a big problem with the language used in this article against the pagan community. Yes, our community is growing. We are one of, if not the fastest growing religious movement in North America, actually. But we do not proselytize, nor are we hopeful to liberate anyone from their chosen faith. If they are unhappy with their chosen faith and choose to join us instead, we welcome with open arms. But you will find the greater pagan, neo-pagan community does not even indoctrinate their children with their own beliefs. Most pagans strongly adhere to the notion that belief is non-volitional and therefore should be practiced as one chooses. As a former Episcopalian, I can tell you that of all the Christian churches, I find the most respect for Episcopalian. My former church is in a small town where I grew up. The many times I have met churchgoers on the street, they have wished me well and never said an ill word to me about my newfound faith. Your characterization of Wicca is horribly inaccurate. It is not a, if it feels good, do it religion. The Wiccan Rede is commonly misunderstood. The Rede states, and it harm none, do what thou will. This is harder to live by than one thinks, which removes the believer from many things that make them, quote-unquote, feel good, and replaces them with a sense of duty to humankind and the environment. Some think it feels good to hurt others, as harm is looked down upon within the culture and warned against within our cosmology. We avoid it at all costs. At the same time, we do not put priority on actions that harm none. For example, the polluting of the environment and destroying of natural habitats is much more offensive than premarital sex. I think this article exacerbates a problem that ought not to be trifled with. That is, if people feel they are, quote-unquote, losing something as you imply, that they will fight to get it back. That could lead to violence, hatred, discrimination, etc. I've seen discrimination of all kinds in this country, the least of which from my own community. the most of which from Christians who are hopeful of liberating me from the goddess by my threats, hate speech, and violence. So let me know what you think. Freya and I approve, and blessed be.